now.
Well, after a summer-like weekend, there are big changes in store for tomorrow in the form of potentially strong storms. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Bullock. NBC4 is declaring a weather alert day Monday to help you prepare. And Storm Team 4 meteorologist Ben Gelber joins us now with a closer look at what to expect and when. Ben?
Yeah, Jennifer, anytime you get a drastic temperature change, you worry about the potential for strong storms. Now, it's obviously very mild, 66 degrees this evening. It'll be almost 20 degrees cooler this time tomorrow. So what's going to happen? Strong cold front is working its way slowly east through the Mississippi Valley. Most of the strong storms are actually on the western side of the front. But I do expect that's going to change as we go through the day tomorrow. We get some heating and some instability. And you can see we are in the marginal risk for damaging winds during the day on Monday. That will be in the mid-afternoon hours. While we do have a wind threat, extremely low threat of any rotation, not expecting any hail of consequence. There could be some pockets of heavier rain, but even flooding, all those are very low end. So it's strictly some strong gusty outflow winds that can occur with storms like this. So during the morning hours, maybe a sprinkle off to the southeast, but as we get into the afternoon, we get a little bit of midday sun. So that cooks up temperatures to near 80 degrees. There's your instability. Here comes the line between 2 and 4 o'clock. You see the red cores indicating heavy downpours. And again, there could be some strong winds, but by the end of the evening hours, all that moves off to the east. Rain totals are not going to be excessive, but we do expect the potential for some hard downpours, not early in the day, as you can tell, but later in the day, and that will time out for the evening commute, so there could be some ponding on the roadways. So Jennifer, coming up, we'll talk about the big temperature drop. Right now, we'll enjoy a mild evening at the end of a summer-like weekend.
All right, Ben, thank you. And of course, NBC4 will keep you up to date on tomorrow's storms, both on air and online. For the latest information, visit our website, NBC4i.com, at any time. Tonight, President Donald Trump dismisses a new report from the New York Times that alleges years of chronic losses and tax avoidance, calling it fake news. According to that report, the president paid just $750 in federal income taxes in 2016, the year that he ran for president, and again in the first year of his presidency. However, in 10 of the 15 years prior to this, the Times reports the president did not pay any income taxes, mostly because he reported significant losses. Speaking at a Sunday news conference, the president said he has paid his taxes, although he did not reveal any specific details.
It's fake news. It's totally fake news. Made up, fake. We went through the same stories. You could have asked me the same questions 4 years ago. I had to litigate this and talk about it. Totally fake news. No, actually, I paid tax. And you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time. The IRS does not treat me well.
The president also responded to a New York Times article that discusses the religion of his Supreme Court nominee, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Barrett, who was nominated to fill the now vacant Supreme Court seat on Saturday, is Catholic. The president called the comments disgraceful.
But seriously, they're going after her Catholicism. I will stand with her, fight with her, and we will make sure that these attacks stop, because it's unprecedented. They're basically fighting a major religion in our country. This is incredible.
Also at today's news conference, the president again refused to commit to a peaceful transition of power should he lose the November election to Joe Biden. Dozens of women gathered at the Ohio State House today to remember Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg more than a week after her death. At the same time, calling on Senate lawmakers to delay her replacement's confirmation until after the election. But some say an immediate decision is crucial for the country. Supporters of abortion rights say they are concerned about the president's nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, but the director of Ohio Right to Life says it's the right move. It's ultimately, we know, up to the Senate to make the final decision. Both parties say Ohioans should ask themselves a few questions about the issue this election year.
I want them to think about what equality means to them, and whether or not they are pro-choice or whether or not they have any feelings on abortion. How do they feel about having equality?
Is this person qualified to sit on the United States Supreme Court, the most powerful court in the world? Only 9 men and women can sit on it totally. And is she qualified? Forget who nominated her, forget her background, but is she qualified?
Now, if the Senate confirms the president's nominee, confirmation hearings could begin sometime next month. Demonstrators held a no confirmation until inauguration rally at the Supreme Court today, protesting the president's pick and demanding that senators wait until after the presidential election to confirm a new Supreme Court justice. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was there and addressed the crowd.
Your rights are hanging in the balance. Your voices should not be silenced. This process has been illegitimate from the beginning and rushed.
Senator Gillibrand also announced that she would not meet with Judge Coney Barrett. Joe Biden is also speaking out against the president's Supreme Court nomination. Speaking in Delaware State today, the former vice president said he believes President Trump and Republican lawmakers are rushing the nomination to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. Biden also noted that the judge disagreed with the court's previous decisions to uphold the ACA.
President Trump can claim all he wants. He's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions. But the fact is he's already fighting to take those protections away as we speak.
Biden continued to urge senators to remove the, quote, blinders of politics and delay the confirmation until after the election. As Cleveland gets ready for Tuesday's presidential debate, there are concerns about possible unrest there. A councilman representing the neighborhood bordering the Cleveland Clinic, where the debate will be held, has talked with police about what can be done to protect that area. Some businesses have already started boarding up their windows. There is concern there could be a repeat of violent protests that took place in Cleveland back in May over the death of George Floyd.
Right now we're living in one of the most polarized times that we've ever seen. And because of that fear and because of that polarization, people, it's paralyzing our community out of fear, and it's leading to anger and hate and suffering.
Councilman Griffin has also been warning people in the neighborhood that loose debris could be used as projectiles. Remember, NBC4 is your local election headquarters. Just visit NBC4i.com for our comprehensive voter guide. It has all the information you need to know about registering to vote, requesting an absentee ballot, early voting hours, and much more. Emily Noble's loved ones are honoring her life as months of searching have now turned into sharing stories and keeping her memory alive. The 52-year-old from Westerville had been missing for about 4 months. Then last week, Westerville police announced Noble's dental records matched those of a body found in town the week before. Tonight, a vigil was held for her in Westerville, and NBC4's Eric Halperin is there at a place that meant a lot to Emily.
Emily's friends say she often came here to Hoover Reservoir early in the morning for sunrise or in the evening for sunset. Tonight's vigil was held during sunset here because they say it's something Emily loved. The moonlight over Hoover Reservoir and the sunset minutes before. A setting family and friends say is perfect for remembering Emily.
This was her space. This was her natural habitat.
Emily loved nature and photography. Friends say they'll miss her passion, determination, and energy, and that the vigil is a perfect example of all the lives she touched.
There are some pretty old people here, there's some very young people here, and that's the kind of person she was. She loved everyone.
You can see how many people loved her, and we feel her spirit with us every day.
Holding candles and sharing stories, dozens gathered by the reservoir. Many spent months searching together, and now they're honoring Emily together.
I think it's significant to have it at sunset because it's kind of signifies this time period is over, and it's time to move on to the next.
Some knew Emily for decades, some just a few years, and some not at all. But according to those who knew her well, that's what was special about her. She could connect with anyone.
It was a big life, and we're all really sad it was cut so short.
Loved ones say what's next is finding out what happened to Emily. They're still waiting on autopsy results. They're encouraging people to keep honoring her life by planting something or just getting outside and enjoying nature. Local for you in Westerville, I'm Eric Halperin, NBC4.